guess if we're looking at diversification, one of the plays you made 18 months or so ago was the launch of LMAX Digital. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I spoke around the time of the launch, and very much targeting the institutional space. Yep. Yesterday at Forex Network Chicago, we heard from a panel talking about, they were very bullish about the institutionalization of crypto. And I think we looked at each other earlier and said, like, well, actually, we were bullish 18 months ago as well. It's not happening at the moment. Correct. How do you view? I mean, what's your stance now with the crypto world? Is it a question of like wait and see? Is it a question of like keep on pushing?
So I push. We've got over 160 institutions signed up to LMAX Digital. That said, 20 to 25 do all the volume.
Yeah.
And we're not yet in FX volume sphere. It's coming, but it's coming in terms of interest rather than sizable quantity today. So look, we need customers of banks to want to trade this asset class. At the moment, they don't. It's not coming. Mm. I mean, we'd be kidding ourselves if we said the last 12 months hasn't been static in crypto land. There's a few reasons for that. Some of the scare stories around AML are a problem for it. The lack of regulation, and sometimes the lack of volatility. Imagine if I'm sitting on the board of a bank. At the end of 2017, I have to jump on this bandwagon.
Yeah.
I must. But now, there's more volatility in cable, right? The last 60 days than there has been in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I think they're looking at it and they'll get there. But rather than it being priority 1, it's priority 3, 4, 5.
Because I guess the problem is they're looking at they're still looking at what they can perceive to be a high risk, but the returns, because of that lack of volatility, are going to be severely diminished.
And the customers aren't banging the door down, Colin.
Yeah.
But they will. I mean, it's what do we need? What does the market need? You need your pension fund, right? All the pension funds in the world to have 1 to 3% of the pension fund in crypto assets. Then you'll see it explode. Those funds will come in via banks. Yeah. So then the whole ecosystem will open up. The ecosystem is closed today.
Yeah.
We're using banks that you and I wouldn't recognize, and we're using banks that no one outside in that room would trade with. So we need better banking and better credit. That will only come once their customers say, get me some Bitcoin.
So there's this trigger point out there, we just don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
And until we find it, strikes me that we're looking at a much longer evolution cycle than maybe the real evangelists of crypto are arguing for at the moment.
I'd agree with that. And I'd certainly agree with that. I'm a massive believer in how blockchain technology is going to revolutionize capital markets. I believe for that to happen, it will solve payments, reconciliation, and settlement. In order to do that, you've got to have a digital asset to transfer on around those blockchains. But I can't tell you if that revolution, that second great industrial revolution of our times, will be in 5 years, 10 years. I quoted Bill Gates earlier. Technology never moves as far as you think in 2 years, but always further than you think in 20. Yeah. So our investment is very much lean. That means I can operate. I've got a lot of runway, a lot of oxygen. I can run LMAX Digital until 2025, not break sweat. It's my fastest growing exchange. It's profitable today, but it's profitable today because I've got a very tight cost base.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys out there mightn't be so fortunate because they've assumed there's going to be a boom this year.
Mm. So, I mean, therefore, is that then a question of you making sure that you're ready for when the trigger point goes? Because it strikes me that you're going to have a small window of opportunity when it does, before everyone rushes through that same door. Yeah. You've got to try and get through that door quicker. Is that what's keeping you up at night, so to speak, looking for signals?
I think we're ready. I mean, I genuinely, hopefully this is confidence and not arrogance, but I've got 25 of the world's largest banks connected to LMAX Exchange Group today. All the world's largest non-banks, HFTs if you want to call them that, connected. The crypto business, LMAX Digital, is on the same API.
Right, yeah.
They're all taking my prices and have done for a year. Now, they're not doing anything with it.
No.
Well, let's just say they're not telling me they're doing anything with it. And I know they're certainly not trading on it.
Yeah.
But as and when the switch flicks, probably at a board table in Manhattan or London, I think they'll switch and say, okay, we're going to send you some dollars or some coin and start trading. So I think we're in great shape. aside from that, I mean, over 160 institutions signed up already. Some you haven't heard of, some new ones. And to be fair to them, most of the non-banks, most of the sensible, sizable non-banks in Chicago, in New York, are trading actively today. But they need more participants.
Yeah.
Mostly at the moment, they're just effectively spotting the arb or playing the credit risk game across platforms around the world.
Yeah.
There's not that much new, real customer business out there.
So looking ahead then, I mean, the message I'm kind of getting for what next for LMAX Exchange is around patience and efficiency.
Yeah.
Is that the story for you, do you think, for the next couple of years?
Patience has always been my greatest virtue. Yeah. Look at stickability, we're still here. If you go back in 2011, 2012, when I first showed up at one of these panels, everyone's going, who's that grey haired bloke? And what do they do? And there's a fragmentation around, and not all these guys can survive. So we had something unique, I believe, certainly for this marketplace, in terms of the all market access and sitting firmly on the no last look side of the debate. So we had something unique, and we're still here, and we're doing well, and I think we're the fastest growing. So we're going to stick at it, be patient. I don't win the last look argument overnight, but fastest growing, we can only be the fastest growing. I'd like to grow at 200% a year, but the reality is we're going at 20, 30% a year. Okay, another 10 years of that, and we should be number one. So we've got to be patient. We've got to stick at it. We've got to keep trying new things. I'm not going to tell you I've nailed it in New York or Tokyo yet. I haven't. London is still my biggest center by a long way. Maybe 70%, 70, 80% on certain days would be out of London. Got to do better in New York and Tokyo. But in order to give myself that runway and give myself that oxygen, we have to be efficient.
Yeah.
Right? I can't just throw 30 salespeople at it.
No.
It doesn't work anyway these days. But I can't just load up my cost base and maybe throw the baby out with the bathwater. I know LMAX Exchange can be around in 2030 if we keep operating the business model the way we do today.
David, thank you.
Thank you, Colin.